Hello and welcome back to another exciting edition of The Loadout. I'm your host, Efren Salinas, and with me as always are Ray and Mike, my loyal analysts. Hey guys, are you guys excited for anything coming up this weekend?
Trip to Vegas.
Trip to Vegas, It's EVO. Our compadre here, we'll talk about this later, but our compadre here is going to Korea, right?
Yeah, no EVO for me this year.
Well, let me tell you what I'm excited about. Our first guest, Panda. If you've never heard of him, this guy has one of the longest running streams, 24/7 streams for Street Fighter. He hosts online tournaments, and then he goes in real life and hosts real tournaments or streams tournaments. And I think it's safe to say that one of your career goals has come true. Panda, thank you very much for joining us. Why don't you say hello?
Hey, friend, how's it going? Donkey and Ray. Do want to thank you guys for having me on the show. I'm actually super excited to be here. Took off work just to be here, and shout out to my work for allowing me to be here.
Absolutely, and we appreciate them letting you come out. We usually do this show on Wednesday, in fact, and we moved it to Tuesday because we really wanted to have you on the show because as somebody myself that has followed your career for a while, I was very excited to hear that you were selected as one of the streamers, official streamers for EVO this year. You'll be streaming the Tekken stage. Tell us a little bit about how that went down and how you feel about it.
Well, of course, naturally, I'm extremely excited and honored to be a part of the crew. They had about 7 streams that they wanted to do this year, and it was kind of the first time that they ever decided to do that. So this is going to be like the largest production EVO's ever had in history. So there's going to be a total of 7 streams, and they wanted the best streamers in the world. So when I heard that, when they contacted me asking for that, I was shocked because I'm like, I'm just some lonely streamer from Arkansas. Who am I? Why am I even in the mix? They hit me up right before Texas Showdown. And, I remained in contact with Chris Aglia, and, eventually I got the gig, and it was from there, nothing but excitement and a lot of hard work leading up to it. So I leave tomorrow, and I'll be working directly with Namco Bandai, streaming Tekken 7.
Now, Panda, we were talking earlier, and you were recounting how you remember when you were fighting for 300 viewers on your streams. When you look back and you think you started in 2010, when you look back at your streaming career, I mean, how does it feel to have arrived at this point?
It's pretty overwhelming feeling. I've got a lot of room to grow, and I'm not quite satisfied yet. But looking back over the past 5 years and seeing where I've come, going from 10 viewers to 300 for larger Southern tournaments, and then getting thousands and thousands of views, it just really means a lot. And it's more so. I'm more so excited that the community here is getting exposure and stuff, because that was something that we didn't really have before. We had good streams and things like that.
Is that what you think the role of a good streamer is, to highlight communities where otherwise you might not? Because I know you pack it up, you drive to these tournaments in the middle of the country.
Yeah, 5-6 hours minimum each way I go, and it does mean a lot for the communities to grow with the streamer. I mean, there is a lot of responsibility on the actual physical streamer to be able to do that. It's not like I go out and stream the event and then people just get famous or known. There has to be, a lot of social media and networking and things like that. And of course, the players are responsible as well for creating personalities and performing and things like that. So, just because I pack my gear up and get out there and show the product to the world doesn't mean that I'm the only one doing it. It's more so the players, the personalities, the communities, and the teams putting it all together and making it grow, really. So,
well, speaking of the community, there was an unfortunate event recently. I believe it was after Northwest Major 7, where you stepped away from your vehicle for a little bit, came back, and all your gear was gone. That unfortunately happens quite a bit. It doesn't go a tournament that goes by that not something gets nicked, right? But the community, within 3 days, came together, crowdfunded the hell out of it, and you got all your gear back. Can you tell me a little bit about how that must make you feel? Because that's just a huge show of support.
It wasn't Northwest Majors. It was Texas Showdown.
Oh, right. And
it had nothing to do with the actual event itself. It was literally just some guy that decided he wanted to break into someone's car in a parking lot and steal a whole bunch of stuff. Shout outs to the guys that, put together Texas Showdown, Javier and Chris. They took care of me, and they helped me and everything throughout that process. But it sucks, man. I came out and Jan called me, said that I stepped away for food. Jan called me, said that my car had been broken into, and then I needed to get down, really quick. And I thought he was trolling me. Jan always messes with me and everything. So I kind of didn't take it serious, and I was like, dude, if I come down there and you're trolling me, I'm going to be extremely mad. So I get down there and I see like glass all over the ground, and I see my car broken into, and all of my major equipment was stolen, and I was just devastated, man. For the next hour, I kind of walked away, and then I turned around and there were like 40 people that had come out, and granted, this was at 2 a.m. So all these people left their rooms and came out to support me and stuff. And before I knew it, like the story had traveled. It was on Destructoid, Daily Dot, Shoryuken, Event Hubs, all these big major sites, and I was just completely overwhelmed. So I went to bed, woke up the next day, and my partner, Markelli from Versus Gameplay, set up a GoFundMe page. And, I was a little hesitant on doing it at first, but, Alex Valle approached me and was like, hey, man, like, I understand that, you don't want to do this, but, you're a key figure in this. There's only so many of us, talking about streaming teams and things like that, because he understands the struggle. And, so he said, just go for it, man. The community loves you. You need to be there for the community. And, so I held my breath. I did it. And, I went back and drove about 8 hours home. And by the time I had gotten home in 8 hours, we had already reached half the goal. And then 2 days later, we completely made the goal. And I got my equipment ordered within a week. And 2 weeks later, after getting everything stolen, I was at Midwest Championships in Nashville, Tennessee, producing that event, and everything went successful, and it was great.
That's one of the things that I love, and that'll actually be a theme of today's episode is the whole crowdfunding efforts that can rise up organically, even sometimes people just wanting to help. But I understand your trepidation, because then there's always people saying, oh, look at these beggars trying to get, for instance, people trying to get to EVO. I mean, anytime somebody asks for money, it's not even 50-50. It's almost always going to get, just shit on left and right. But when it's an important figure, somebody people already have respect for, it really comes together. And I think you've earned that respect. I want to talk a little bit about Kumite in Tennessee. You mentioned it was a small tournament that you showed up, you streamed, you helped bring some light to that tournament. How does it feel I understand it's the players, right? I mean, you're just going there and helping people get a window into it. But how does it feel to be able to go to a less served community and help them build that up?
It felt great, actually. And I want to give a shout out to Beely and Ian. They're the guys behind KIT. You guys probably see them at a lot of events. They're running around supporting every single event they can make. But they contacted me during one of my local events that I was doing here in Arkansas. And, we were talking, and, they signed me on to stream KIT. I had never heard of KIT. I mean, KIT's apparently it was a Tekken tournament before, they really decided to kick it in and make it large. So I went out there, streamed the first event. A lot of big names showed up, and it was, the biggest event that I had streamed to date. And, it without a doubt, it was one of my favorite events that I've ever done. And the next year we blew it out of the water again. So just to see something like I said, I'd never even heard of KIT, and then to show up to streaming, and then the next year following, its, rebirth, I guess, we had, over 10,000 viewers concurrently, and, a ton of big names. It was a huge success. It just goes to show that, hard work does not go, unseen. Like it really does. And again, I was not the only one putting in the work. A ton of people behind the scenes making it work. But without that exposure, it'd be hard for the tournament to grow.
All right, I actually had a quick question for you, Panda, which was for some of the up and coming people trying to stream their communities. Is there like an FAQ or anything where they can find what equipment they might want to buy, or any other advice you can give in general for new streamers?
I've actually been meaning to make a streaming guide for, people upstarting, because I've gone through every trial and error of equipment. And I actually made a guide a long time ago on SRK. Probably a lot of people have actually seen it. It was a pretty popular guide at the time. But I mean, a lot of that equipment's outdated, but there's a lot of core fundamentals there. But I really do need to update that. As far as equipment costs, I mean, if you're really wanting to get into streaming, equipment costs and budgeting is what you really need to keep in mind, because I mean, it's not cheap. It's very expensive, and you just got to literally be prepared to constantly replace things here and there. Be able to have a steady cash flow to make sure that you're streaming, because I mean, you don't want to stream and then have a crappy production and no one ever come back again, because that's just, you're not going to build your following like that. But for new streamers within communities, I do have like tiers of stream equipment. And I've helped a lot of local communities build their streams. The guys out at Versus Gameplay Arcade. I've helped the guys over in Houston at Insomnia Gaming, and I've helped them with some of their smaller things. But it's my biggest thing is just be prepared to spend money and have a lot of trial and error processes pulling your hair out.
Panda, is there competition among streamers?
Not really, no. We don't really compete against each other. In fact, if you check Twitter a lot, you'll see a lot of streamers communicating and talking to each other. We share tech. I mean, that's just like, like it goes back to what Alex Valle said. We're all we have, and so we communicate together. We work as a team. Really, we may be producing events in New York, Austin, Arkansas, California, whatever, but at the same time, we're all kind of on the same level because we share a lot of open communication to help the FGC production as a whole grow and get better.
Speaking of FGC Productions, you have, it's not the first time you've done this, but it's back, your online tournament series. Tell us a little bit about that, and then I want to know if you think that doing tournaments online, obviously you've had success with it, but is it the most viable option, or what are some of those issues that you run into?
Online tournaments are very stressful. I'll say that to begin. It took a lot of, again, trial and error processing for us to really get it, with a legitimate system to where it was convenient for the players, viewers, and everybody that was participating and behind the scenes. But, I do want to give a shout out to my team, Andre Kerr, BitPix, and Shannon White, aka Redman. They are the guys kind of behind the scenes that are really the driving force between our online events. As of late, I've kind of had to step away and focus on a lot of other things like these larger offline events. But we're about to start back up, and we had a lot of success in season 1. We had a lot of great prizes, a lot of good competitors competing. Over 100 competitors in each of our tournaments, a lot of cash prizes and things. But it is a very strenuous thing to do, and I don't recommend it over offline events. There's less money involved with getting it rolling, but as far as pulling your hair out, you're gonna lose a lot of hair dealing with online tournaments.
Some of us here on set were commenting on your luscious hair. Heaven forbid you have to rip it
Right.
out in handfuls.
Yeah, that would really suck.
But speaking of that, I mean, we have a clip rolling right now from was this UFN Ultimate Fight Night?
Yes, Ultra Fight Night.
Ultra Fight Night. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. This was from one of your more recent tournaments. This is Dan Slip versus Shine. What can you tell us about those two guys?
Dan Slip, to be honest, I don't know too much about him. I do know that he was kind of an up-and-comer online player. We like to shed a lot of focus on undiscovered talent and things like that. There's a ton of online players that don't really get the credit or recognition that they deserve. So he's kind of one of those players. He has a really good relento. You guys can see him on Xbox Live quite a bit. But of course, Shine, he's a pretty well-known player. He frequents next level battle circuit quite often. And, he has literally, I would like to say he has the best Yang in the country, if not one of the best Yangs in the world. But he never goes anywhere, and he just kind of stays in New York. But there's a reason for that. I know he's in school and stuff, so he's really focusing on his education, which is really good. But he's definitely one of the best Yang players in the world.
Well, Panda, we're about to let you go. I know you have a lot of packing and getting ready to go because you'll be on the road tomorrow. Do you have any predictions for any of the titles? Who do you think is going to take Ultra Street Fighter 4?
I definitely think that, I'm going to say that Daigo is going to win Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Based on what?
Because he's my favorite player. And I'm always rooting for Daigo because it makes the tournament so much more hype. I mean, if I'm rooting for Daigo, that means that every match is going to be intense that he's involved with, and there's a good chance that he's going to make it very far. So Daigo, number 1.
All right, man. Well, we wish you luck. We'll be looking forward to seeing your Tekken stream, and some of us here will be at EVO, so we'll get a chance to say hi to you there, man. Thank you very much for joining us, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. So, guys.
Man, Daigo.
Oh my God! I knew you were gonna say
they don't
something.
like the prediction.
I knew you were gonna say something.
Oh man.
What is it about Daigo?
Oh, there's nothing in particular. Just I was just laughing because last year, I think, did he lose in like the first round after pools, or was it right after that? I'm not sure.
I know he got taken out off stream by
F-Champ and
F-Champ.
John Choi.
and John Choi, which is, unexpected.
Yeah.
But it happens. Who do you guys, we're going to get into it, predictions here. Who do you guys think is going to take Ultra Street Fighter 4?
Who do I think is going to take it? That's way too tough a call. I want Luffy to take it again, just because
my
I think the
gosh.
tears will flow across the world.
I'm not on the same page as you. If we go by Panda's rule, who's my favorite, then KOG's going to win. Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ray,
He's a
who do
fun
you,
player to watch.
yeah,
Oh my
fun player to
goodness.
watch.
I mean, we haven't seen Shin in forever. He's definitely going to come back and just destroy everybody. I'm sure he's been practicing. I'm sure he's been watching everybody. He has been playing, just resting, but I think he's going to come back and blow everyone up.
I mean, do you want somebody who's already won to win again? I mean, it's not like that's a bad thing, but I like to see new people come up and
No, of course. That's why I want Luffy to win.
it's not as fun, man. He's already got one. He's already got one of those titles.
I just feel like it's unexplainable that Rose isn't more widely played. This
Yeah.
character is so silly, so strong, and relatively simple to play. I feel like there's like this blocked mentality among players, and I kind of want him to show that like you should play this character.
Later on the show, we're going to have Dr. Mike. If you're familiar with him, FGC Dr. Mike is one of the mods from our kappa. Our kappa this year is sending Punko, KOG, my boy, T-Hawk player, and they're sending Alex Myers. Do you think any of those players have a chance?
It's tough. None of those are top tier characters. You got T-Hawk from KOG, you've got Seth from Punko, and you've got Sakura from Alex Myers. They're all really good players. Of the three, I think Punko probably has the best shot.
I don't know. Punko's been looking kind of weak lately because, I mean, we just saw him lose to, Smug, 7-2 at the
Did
last.
he? Okay.
Yeah, the last sets. Like, he hasn't been winning any of the big Japan tournaments that he's been traveling to either. He's still strong, but I feel like Seth is just too toned down of a character. And there's just, so much. Delayed wake-up especially is just, there's too much for him to overcome. I don't think he's adapted well.
Those guys definitely, I feel like when they look to send a player, though, it's kind of for their own entertainment value and for the community's entertainment value. Those are all extremely entertaining characters. They had Pepe Dai before with El Fuerte. I think they really just like to have like a hero to root for, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, let's get into just general EVO topics here. One of the things I wrote down, and we talked a little bit about with Panda, is the idea that you get a lot of people who come out who ask for help to make it to a tournament. Now, there's guys on there that I can totally get behind helping send out there, which is like Broly Legs, for example. He was actually, I don't even think that he set it up. Somebody set it up for him because they wanted him to go. There were, our boy here in town, Onisan.
Oh,
He was looking for a hand out there too. Let's just talk in general. How do you guys feel about people asking, help me get to EVO?
I guess like the American capitalist in me wants to say people can spend their money on what they want, and to an extent that's true. For me, I mean, it really depends on what it's worth to you. I think people can spend on what they want, but I think you have to take into account that, the public's going to look at you and say, do you have a job? Do you have this? Why can you not fund yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And so it just comes down to whether or not you want that in the eye, and people can spend on what they want. If someone wants to put out the GoFundMe and people want to spend on it, I don't see a problem with it.
Ray, do you have an opinion on that? Have you ever asked for somebody to send you to a tournament?
Well, I mean, looking at the results, everything, I think I should start a GoFundMe to go to EVO as well. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know, I feel like you have to have a lot of courage to even set up a GoFundMe for a lot of people. I mean, there are those who are like, okay, I'll just set it up, people give me money, cool. If they don't, whatever. But, like you're talking with Panda earlier, you kind of don't want to. Like, there's that hesitance because anything with money involved, it gets a little sticky sometimes. So, I mean, Oni-san, I think he's a sponsored player. I don't think it looks good. I think, hey man, you had all this time. You should have prepared.
Mm-hmm. But he did OCV a team that had infiltration on it. Isn't that worthy of your time? Isn't that somebody you should throw money at to have at a tournament?
I mean, what PR Balrog said last week, we want consistent players, not players that just make it one time, these big things. I can do a turnaround punch for 70 seconds, and I'm cool for a day. But, are you consistent? Can you constantly beat these characters? Because what people could see now are not just like the gimmicks, but we're seeing more footsies, more like, slow base games, more time consumption. So, I mean, if you can get away with it again, great, but I don't think it's worth the time.
I fall along the lines of what you mentioned, Mike, that, hey, you spend your money however you want to. If you want to help somebody get there, help them get there,
It's really interesting because I think you see a lot of like different attitudes post sponsorship from players. Whenever you hear of a Japanese or most of the Asian players in general getting sponsored, you tend to see this like huge respect for it. And they always talk about how they need to win for their sponsor. They're going to practice for 12 hours a day for their sponsor, etc. And I think you don't see the same as much from players outside of Asian countries. So you kind of wonder whether or not when you take this money from the players, do you have an obligation to them? Do you have to do this well at the tournament? Do you have to spend this many hours a day? And I guess it's up to the people to decide whether you do or not.
Exactly. And we have seen people get sponsored and do extremely well, or rather, crowdfunded and do extremely well. And we've seen the opposite, and the crowd turns on you,
Yeah.
They're like, hey, that was my hard-earned American dollars. And in some cases, international dollars, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely still want to talk about who we think will do well. And Mortal Kombat X is on the tip of my tongue because we just had the completion of the ESL Mortal Kombat X Season 1, tournament season. These were online tournaments with bookended by IRL tournaments, in real life. The Fatal 8, I guess, was before the tournament, before the game even launched. Sonic Fox won that. We just had this past weekend the conclusion of this season, and again, Sonic Fox took that. Mike, you told me that, he's the clear favorite to win, but what are your thoughts on that tournament season and that $60K that Sonic Fox, a 17-year-old, walked with?
Well, we talked a bit before about kind of the slight failures of the ESL and the offline tournaments. I think they did a good job rectifying that a bit in the offline tournament. They had the intros, they were a little corny, but people generally were excited about them, maybe because they were so corny. The tournament ran well. They streamed every match, and most of them were pretty entertaining. And I think a cool thing they did was they brought in a lot of international players. They had qualifiers from Russia, Germany, pretty much all across Europe. I think they had a Spanish qualifier. And it brought a lot of hype. You had different languages talking trash to each other, so that was fun. You saw Sonic Fox win with a character we've never seen him pick in tournament before, which is kind of ridiculous. You hear all these things about people spending years and years in training mode with their character, learning everything, and he just picks up a new one that was considered low tier earlier. And
that was the thing that, I was watching and I was thinking to myself, okay, Katana, I'm used to seeing this guy use Aaron Black. And then I thought, okay, is he saving some tech for EVO? And then I thought, no way, why would you save tech for EVO if there's $60,000 on the line? Oh, yeah. So I don't think that that's what his game plan was. Let me save something for EVO. And he just... it was an exciting tournament, to be honest. Mortal Kombat X has had its ups and downs. People complain that it's not as exciting or that it's already even dead. It gets patched to hell. But those were some fun matches.
Yeah, for sure. And it also kind of shows you a lot about, whether or not money is the driving force in the community. Because this was $60,000, and PDP years ago for Mortal Kombat had tens of thousands of dollars. And the game's still not as popular as Street Fighter, despite it definitely having a more consistent money base and a smaller scene to fight against. And I know Dead or Alive has thousands of dollar pop bonuses from Team Ninja pretty much every tournament, and they don't get any entrance. So it really shows you the FGC is definitely more about the game they want to play than anything else behind it.
So, Mortal Kombat X is I'm sure is going to be exciting at EVO. Yeah. But the argument or the it's in the air, is this game dead already? They patched it and people are upset with it. They've announced that they're going to have a Season 2, which means at least a comparable sum of money for the exact same scenario, a tournament season. Will people stick around for it?
Well, part of what's interesting about the money they added was supposedly it was from one of the skins they had online.
There was that Sub-Zero skin that if proceeds from that purchase of that DLC costume were going directly into that prize pool, I anticipate they'll do the same thing again. Obviously that hasn't been confirmed, but they've announced a second combat pack, so there's another 4 characters coming out. Does the tiered release of characters prolong the lifespan of a game, or does that hurt the lifespan of a game?
I think it definitely prolongs it if done correctly. You've seen it work extremely well in Dota and League of Legends and other MOBA games. And you've honestly seen it work to an extent in Mortal Kombat so far, and of course every update for Street Fighter 4 kind of renewed the game a bit. So done correctly, I think people get excited. it's when it's done a little too fast or when the game is already getting negative praise that I think it comes into this evil DLC light. But I like it personally. I think you got to realize like the hours per enjoyment put into fighting games is extremely efficient compared to other hobbies. And a new character and keeping these development teams around is more expensive than people really realize. So I'm willing to pay a couple dollars for it personally.
Interesting. How do you feel about it? I mean, Predator looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks awesome, but it's hard to keep up. You know, so many patches and then these new characters, like, it's just so hard to keep up if you want to stay competitive, I think. Like, I mean, ESL was great, but altogether, I think the view counts were kind of low for this tournament that size and caliber, what they're trying to make it be. And, like, $60,000 is a lot, but, I mean, I think it capped at, like, what, 4,000 to 8,000 viewers in most?
I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, like...
So, but the thing that I think about is this. So compare what Mortal Kombat X did with the ESL tournaments to what Capcom was doing with the Capcom Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, you know what, let's, on Mortal Kombat X, they did their own tournament. It's ESL only, it's online only, and it's there, as opposed to what Capcom Pro did, which was partner with established events. That approach, what does that say to you, that, you know, there's those two different approaches?
I mean, first for Mortal Kombat, though, it's online only. I feel like that already puts you in a smaller crowd than, like, a lot of other people because, first, you need a good connect. Well, it's Xbox One as well. So first, you need an Xbox One. There goes like half your people because they're on PlayStation. Second, like, you need good online. You need to, like, constantly be home playing these matches. That eliminates another huge group of people. I mean, it's just like it feels like a great idea, and they're throwing a lot of money at it, but it feels like for such a small portion of community of people. I mean, Sonic's Fox, the Perfect Legend, you know, they know they're going to play, so they're going to go out and buy the Xboxes. Yomi, they know they're going to do well, like they have the whole team. So I really feel like, you know, if you don't want to really learn the game, it's like there's so many negative things that have happened or too many things that have happened where you're just like, I don't want to invest in this anymore. And it's just like, I'm not going to fight Sonic's Fox or them. I'm not going to beat them.
You're definitely right. And the way they did it almost felt like it could have been an invitational and had the same kind of end effect. I do think the global tournament invitational thing that Capcom Pro Tour has going on is definitely a much better way to get in a broader audience. So I'll definitely agree on that point. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about who we think we're going to win certain games left on the list. Well, there's quite a bit. So the lineup this EVO is, of course, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which we're all huge fans of in this show, in particular my compadre over here, El Donkey. We have 2 Smash games, the new one, and Melee, of course, the favorite one. Guilty Gear, Killer Instinct, MKX, Persona 4, and Tekken 7, which our boy will be streaming, Panda. Who do we think is going to take Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
The obvious favorites are the people with their bounties on their heads, kind of the big 3 at this point, which would be Justin Wong, Chris G, and F-Champ. Of the 3, I really feel like Champ's been grinding it the hardest, and I feel like he has a team over Justin. I think Chris, despite being at one point, in my belief, the best player, has kind of fallen off slightly. Justin's team is not as strong as Champ's, and I think if Champ can run away right, he is the favorite to win this year.
What about, you know, a guy like Jan? You know, we've seen him do really well.
Certainly can win, yeah. But the big 3 has proven that they are pretty hard to stop at this point.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know, the only Tekken player I know is Core, so I think we can. Yeah, he's gonna win. I think Core's gonna take it.
Core's gonna take it. Okay.
Core,
Is it Americans only for the Tekken tournament? Are they allowing Japanese players to enter? Because it seems like it'd be extremely unfair given that they have the game.
You know, I couldn't tell you. Yeah. That's a good question. We should look into that. So moving on, how do you guys feel about the fact, you know, we don't talk about Smash a whole lot on this show yet, but the fact that there are 2 Smash games, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen, or not recently, I guess there was one year where they had HD Remix as well as, you know, Street Fighter 4, but the fact that there are 2 Smash games, what does that say about the Smash community? Do they just need to come together, or are those 2 so separate titles that they can support their own communities?
I mean, Melee is just had so much support, and it's just the style of the game is so much different from anything else that Smash has been making, or Super Smash has been making. Like, I think, like, it's okay for those to be completely different games because they're both getting super high counts. So it's second and third highest. Like, I mean, there's a lot of money being thrown at it. There's a lot of support, people coming internationally. I mean, you're still seeing new things, like even to this day. Like last year, they had that Yoshi player that was just like really amazing. You've never seen this before, and Melee's been out for like how many years? And
Almost 15 or 15 or something like that.
And, a lot of people were upset that it wasn't the runner-up as far as the headlining games for grand finals. And they would cite, hey, we have the second most amount of entrants. Why don't we have the second spot on grand finals night?
I think part of that is Mr. Wizard. Like, I just think he wants that game to die. Or he doesn't really, care about Smash Melee that much. So I think personally it's just Mr. Wizard, hey, guys, I already let you guys have a big tournament. Come on, let me do things my way.
I'll ask him in person when we go.
There's a Wizard influence. I think he said that Marvel had the highest stream viewers, and that's why he put it second. Obviously, Street Fighter is going to be the headliner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens after this year. If Melee destroys Marvel and viewers, I'm sure it'll be second next year. I don't think anyone's going to take the money off the table,
So moving on, this is our EVO Spectacular here. And as always, I asked you guys to bring in a couple of plays for us to analyze. The theme this week is favorite EVO plays. That's all I asked for. I said, give me your favorite play. So I'm not going to say no to what you guys brought me. We're going to start with you, Mike. Mike, what did you bring for us to watch?
Well, how could my favorite EVO play not be myself? I mean, come on.
Fair enough.
So what we have here is this was EVO 2014 or 2013, sorry. This was my first EVO. And actually, it was my second EVO. Sorry, I went to EVO 2012. And I made it out of pools in Winterside. And as my first match, I found out I'm going up against last year's EVO second place Infrit.
Yeah.
And instead of being nervous, I was extremely excited. I was like, I get to go on stream for the first time at EVO. I'm going to have a fun time with this. And as you'll see, I kind of did. So this is, I've actually gone up 2-0 on Infrit at this point. The first match was some ridiculous comeback. Second match was something stupid. And I'm kind of cornered. Infrit's dropped a combo at this point. I'm sorry, this match is a little sloppy. But what you see here is after push blocking in the air with Spencer, or any character for that matter, you gain back an assist call. So from that, I was able to call Iron Man and then zip in and then do this combo. And what you're going to see after Doom is that I actually taunt during the combo. Now, what was interesting about that taunt is you could hear the crowd totally erupting behind me, absolutely going nuts. I heard a bunch of white boy screams. I heard everything in the book you can imagine. The Infrit was already washed up. The match wasn't even over yet. And you could just see how mad this guy was during the game. And I knew at that point that I had won. Despite everything else, he dropped every combo for the remainder of the match. He just seemed totally shook. And I think that kind of goes to show how important your nerves are on the big stage of EVO. It is so different than any other tournament. It's so different than going on stream at your local event. It's so different than going on stream at a major. You literally can hear everything that they're saying because they're right behind you and they're definitely talking.
Let me ask you about the taunt, though. The taunt in such a high-stakes situation, was that part of that, mindfuck that you were trying to do to your opponent?
I mean, I'll be honest, the taunt was like a guaranteed part of a combo.
Okay.
It was something, now it's a little tight, so I was a little risky in going for it, but yeah, there was that. There was the fact that I just wanted to be a dick on camera. There was, you gotta have fun with it. People get so nervous for this, but you're on stream, use that to your advantage. If you get nervous and lose, then yeah, you're going to be remembered as the guy that lost. But if you go on stream and taunt, then you get people asking your autographs after the game. That literally happened. Someone walked up to me with their stick. I'm like this above average streamed but not amazing Marvel player. And people were asking me to sign their sticks and take pictures with them. And as you see, I wave the camera off. So yeah, have fun with it. Go on stream and do your thing, man.
I remember specifically, I think you saying, or people being upset that you had waved at the camera. I was like, this smug son of a bitch. How dare he?
I feed off of that effort.
Tell me why.
What do you have to get upset about? Really? What am I doing by getting happy and waving to the camera to that? I don't know. I think it's funny, but I guess that's just the internet age. I heard that, maybe I'm going too far with this, but I heard that he made some post in his local Facebook group fighting game scene that he was upset about it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It kind of drove me to do it more. Maybe that's bad.
I think that you're right. It's a tool, right? That persona, the confidence, it can, as we saw, swing the tide of events.
And that was a horrible match, by the way. If you watched it, every combo was dropped. It was ugly.
All right, Ray, you're up, buddy, and you brought in a classic EVO moment, especially for us 09ers, right? That this is something that we salivate over and watch over and over again.
I mean, this is watching our god fall. I'm sorry, Panda. This is your favorite character, favorite guy being destroyed. But
and this was the year that everybody was mad. So we're talking Punko versus Daigo. And
which year was this?
2011.
Oh boy, so he just won 2 straight.
Yeah. And people were upset that he was using Yoon this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, you gotta follow the tier list. What's good? What's bad? Like, I mean, this is Daigo. He just won two Evos, right? Like, he wants to win a third. Like, you gotta adapt, and that's what he tried to do here.
So what are we looking at?
All right,
Whoops,
so
this is the wrong one, isn't it? Oh, this was actually I meant to say we pulled a clip from a YouTube channel. I forget the name of it. Is Arcane something to that effect? And this guy actually cut his own footage into it, and I thought it was really cool, so that's why we used it. But of course, this is Daigo getting perfected. What are we looking at, man?
All right. Well, first we're watching Daigo get bodied, and then we're just gonna watch him get hit by more things, and Daigo just not playing himself. And like I like this match a lot because this shows that the crowd's giving him energy. Punko just made this huge entrance, drinking a Red Bull in front of everybody. Like, everyone's hyped. Everyone wants to see this match. Punko is this new guy off the block, off of Korea's block, coming into the States. He's like, hey, I want to use this character. I want to blow everybody up. And, Daigo's no exception. So I'm sure even Punko's heard of Daigo. So to see him, come up and perfect Daigo, the guy that just won EVO 2 years in a row, how exciting is that?
Yeah, and that was, I'm sure, people had already heard of Punko by this point, but this was really a coming out for him. It was the moment where he drank upended the Red Bull. And I really got as a stream monster, right, you really get the feeling that, that's that showmanship that is what keeps us coming back. I love moments like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's exciting. I recall Tokido going, this wasn't an EVO, but Tokido standing and getting the big raging demon on his back. Moments like that we can all, share as a community, I think go a long way.
And this is the reason why you don't want to miss these big tournaments, because anyone can show up and you're going to remember them for that big moment where they just kind of just blew your mind. Craigasm. You just oh my God, I don't know what's going on. What just happened? Daigo just got perfected. Daigo lost. You can't even accept the fact that Daigo lost. You have to accept the fact that he got perfected. Perfected. With arguably the best character in the game.
In the series of the game.
Yeah, in the series of the game too. The best person in the world. Oh my God, what is going on? And everyone's just feeding off of that, and it was just amazing.
For me, it was also kind of a big part in Street Fighter becoming really international. You'd seen Daigo win 2 years in a row, and you'd see Americans up against him. You saw Justin in 09, you saw Ricky in 10. But to see him lose to a player that wasn't even American, but now Korean, you really knew that the game was going to a bigger level. And then you had Xian winning the next year, and it just kept getting wider and wider. And now you have Russians playing Mortal Kombat, and you have the Australians probably doing something. You have fighting games taking over the globe. And this was a big part in that. And there was the whole story with the Yoon, and there was a story with Daigo winning twice. It just, everything came together in this culmination that was almost too crazy to have really happened.
Speaking of Punko, our next guest, which we're going to be bringing on soon, from our kappa, FGC Dr. Mike, they're sponsoring Punko. So Punko is being sent to EVO via our kappa, so that's great. And, I think now's as good a time as any. Why don't we go ahead and bring him in? Our next guest, and we posted this on our kappa, and people were wondering, who is this guy? Who is the guest? Who's the mod? We have none other than FGC Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. I did not, you mentioned to me that there's people who don't know what you look like. This is the first time you're showing, huh?
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on. I'm a little bit nervous, but yeah, I'm usually in the back ends, kind of like a ghost in the back. So a lot of people probably don't even know what I look like. So this is probably the first time.
Well, let me do a little intro here because, there are some people, as you mentioned, you're, as you say, a ghost. I would describe you as the ultimate stream monster, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the idea that, this started in 2014. Our kappa sent Alex Myers, Full Schedule, and Tampa Bison to EVO 2014. Of course, Alex Myers and Tampa Bison for Street Fighter.
That's right.
And Full Schedule for Marvel. And I was talking to you, and you said that after EVO, you didn't want that magic to go away. You loved it. You thought it was cool that the community came together. And I believe it was the Tokyo Game Show where at the
Yeah.
Mad Catz booth, Peppadai kind of had a huge splash. He came out and won that. And as a result, you're like, hey, our Kappa, what if we sponsor this guy and bring him over to tournaments? Maybe fill in some of the blanks for me. Is that
Yeah.
kind of how it went down?
Yeah, so after EVO 2014 finished, and it was a really great show. And I'm basically like a big stream monster. I love this stuff. This is like, some people follow sports and baseball and soccer. This is it for me. Like I watch this stuff like it's a religion. You know what I mean? Like, so basically, after EVO had died down, and I kept on watching a lot of these tournaments. And it just, for me, it seemed like it was kind of, you always kind of saw the same people in the top 8, and it was getting a little monotonous. And I remember sitting there, I wish I wish we could see some top players from Asia come on over to the United States and play in these, American tournaments. I thought that would be like a cool thing to do. And I remember sitting there watching, so the first, before we get there, so the first thing I did, I tried to get in contact with a couple of tournament organizers in America. I sent out a bunch of emails. They didn't all call me back, but I got in contact with Big E. He's been around for a long time. He's been like 10 years. He's really well known in the community. So I got in contact with him. He put me in contact with Zach, who's really great. And initially, I wanted to send a sponsor 2 players to come over, to one of the East Coast tournaments. Initially, my first choice, I don't know, most people don't know this, but it was actually Kazunoko, because he's like my favorite player. I'm wearing his shirt, right now. So I wanted to sponsor Kazunoko, but at around that time, it was a Topanga League was going on, so he couldn't make it. We also had at one point Santaro Man. He wasn't as well known at that time, but he had done very well in a charity tournament in Japan. So I thought he would be really great too, but it just didn't work out either because he actually was in Topanga as well. So, so me and Zach, and those Big E guys, we were trying to rack our brains, who do we bring over, to the East Coast? And then the Mad Catz Tokyo Game Show came on, and there was this player, Peppadai, playing this Fuerte character, and he just did very well. He beat Bonchan in the finals, and it was just so hype, and he seemed like a really nice guy. So I just started thinking, man, it'd be pretty cool to bring this guy over. And then, I went over to Zach. We got in contact with him through Kim123 and Arturo.
Zach from the Fall Classic?
No, yeah, Zach, he's associated with the Big E organization.
Okay.
He's kind of in the shadows, but he's a really great guy, and he helped me out a lot. So I got in contact with him. Through Arturo and Kim, we were able to get in contact with Peppadai, and I kind of gave him the offer. Hey, do you think you want to come over, to United States? Around that same time, me and Zach, we were talking about this. So how do I make this more special? How do I make this that it's not just about me? And I remembered that our Kappa, because I've been visiting our Kappa for a couple of years. It's been around for 3 years. I've been on there for a long time. So I remember looking back at our Kappa in 2014. They had sponsored this big EVO team, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I should ask our Kappa if they would kind of go 50-50 with me on this, and maybe it'll be a community type thing. It'll motivate a lot of people. So I thought it was something, pretty cool to do. So I didn't know how they were going to react, though. I thought I was going to get flamed or downvoted to hell, but I posted it, and they knew who I was talking about, of course, and they were, yeah, let's do it. This is so hype, no one expects a Fuerte to do any good in tournaments anyways, and this guy seems to be like top level, Japanese player. So we sponsored him, and it turned out very well. He came over to the Fall Classic, which was actually a Capcom premiere event at that time. They had Capcom had advertised that there was going to be a 50,000 Capcom Cup, so it was really big at the time. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. he didn't get the first place in that tournament. But it really set the precedent for, just hyping up the forum, and everyone was really happy. And Pepe Dye was just really humble guy. He wrote all the names of the people that sponsored him on his shirt, and people were just really impressed with him. Just really nice, humble guy, all around good guy. And then from that moment on, that's kind of like the beginning story. I don't know.
You sent me. I asked you what are your favorite R Kappa sponsored player moments, and we have right now. I know you can't see it, but we have right now on the screen. This is Pepe Day versus Snake Eyes, and again, you're right. Like what a nice detail that he was so humble and appreciative that he put all those names on his shirt.
And one of the reasons I sent you that clip, I know you can't watch it, but let me kind of give a little summary of what it is.
Sure.
So this was, I believe this was NEC 15, and this was the top 3. And Smug had just sent Pepe Dye to losers. And this was Pepe Dye versus Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes had 2 games to 0 on Pepe Dye. And he also had 1 round on him, and he had about 20% of his energy left. So it was it seemed like it was over. The announcers were like, "Oh, this is done. He's toast." And Pepe Dye really takes this stuff serious. He really, whenever he loses, he just takes it hard, and he really wants to do well. I think when he's playing for someone that sponsored him, I think he really takes it really personal. So in that clip, he's down to 20%. It's kind of over, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he flips it around upside down, makes the greatest comeback I've ever seen. And that year, 2014, in our Kappa, we actually voted as one of the top fights of the entire year. Mm-hmm. And it was just really great. And the announcers, I think it was Arturo, he was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And that pretty much sums up how I felt. I just can't believe what I'm seeing. This guy just did the ultimate comeback. And he comes back to win, and he goes on to grand final. So it was just really great fight.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I was actually, it's kind of interesting hearing this. I was at NEC 15, mostly for the anime games. And I remember watching this with a couple of the Japanese anime players, Dora and Kyame. And I was with Ryan Harvey, and we were literally sitting there betting on these matches. And this one in particular, I remember, because me and Ryan were betting on the Americans, and Kame and Dora were betting on the Japanese, and just the hype this match had around the entire venue. People were coming in from the arcade room back to the main room to watch this match. People were going nuts. I saw so many hands on their heads. Easily one of the hypest matches I've ever seen. Totally awesome to bring Pepe Dye over, who completely invented his character. I mean, just...
Yeah, I know, it's like nobody had taken Fuerte seriously, and that's the magic of first of all, the internet, because if the Tokyo Game Show hadn't been, had that event, we wouldn't have seen it. But the fact that we have access to it now and can bring them over, wow, how exciting, man. That was a really cool thing.
It was just cool seeing this Japanese player go against this pad player from the U.S. Just how different they are, and just them coming together to have this match and having it be so exciting.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to you as Dr. Mike because we have another Mike here.
You call me whatever you want, as long as it's not a 4-letter word,
Call me what you want, but don't call me late for dinner, one of those kind of things?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put on another. This is Kazunoko. He was sponsored by our Kappa, and he is going up against Filipino Man. Now, do you want to set this clip up, Dr. Mike? Because you mentioned that there was a little bit of controversy on it.
Yeah, I can set this up for you. So this is final round 18. We had just sponsored 3 players, Kazunoko, Infiltration, and Kitasen DJ to final round 18. And actually, Filipino Man had pretty much bodied the Kappa team in the team tournament. And he was really riled up and fired up, and he popped off, and which is it's okay that he did that, And
he had some choice words for our Kappa, though, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was up on the screen, throwing his middle finger up, and our Kappa. We had the forum was really hyped and fired up, and so when we actually get to the singles tournament, this is, I think at that point, Kita Sendu DJ never made it out of pools. And I think Infiltration, I think he at this point he had kind of lost as well. So it was up to Kazunoko to kind of save us, the reputation. So and it was almost kind of like a grudge match. At least this is how it felt for the Street Monsters, you know. And it was a Filipino man versus Kasunoko, and Kasunoko just wrecked him. You know, it just kind of wrecked. And then at the end, you know, Filipino man kind of gave him a hug, and you know, and it was impressive. It was all fun and games, and you know, and right after that match, we had 1,000 viewers on our Kappa. It was probably the most viewers we ever had online at the same time. So it was just hype, man. It was a lot of fun. And you know, it wasn't really personal. You know, Filipino man, he came back online later on and kind of explained himself. He didn't mean to do that to the players, but for a Stream Monster, it was really fun to watch and to see Snoko really do well. Yeah.
And you know, he's been doing really well this year too.
Yes.
I know you have him as one of your favorites to win. Because tell me a little bit about. Okay, so if you watch the stream and you're not a Redditor, you're not familiar with the RKappa community, you see RKappa, you Google it, you go up to RKappa, and you know, you might have a little bit of a culture shock when you show up.
Oh,
if you think
yeah.
But one of the things that you guys got going on there right now is it Kappa polls, right? You guys are where you can write in who you think. I guess it's already been closed by now.
Yeah. Well, we have two sites. The kappapolls.com. It kind of gives you the history of the sponsorships, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of like, you know, how we started and all the.
I mean, in the year, you guys have raised almost $30,000 to send players to places, right?
I would put the number around, you know, 25, 30,000. Like the community and everybody that has sponsored, that has chipped in and bought a T-shirt and donation has been really great, and we had a lot of support. And if I had to put a number, yeah, it's got to be up there, $25,000 to $30,000. It's a lot of cash.
And you know, Dr. Mike, that's one of the things we were talking about on the show, and we had Panda on earlier, and he talked about how, you know, he got somebody took his gear. And like that, you know, he had it back. And it never ceases to amaze me, the crowdfunding power that the FGC has, and they come together, and not just to help a guy get his gear back, not just to send players because they think it'll be entertaining, but you were telling me something that you're very proud of and that was very moving for you was raising over $9,000 for when Pusha T passed away to help his family with that. Can you tell me a little bit how that went down?
Yeah, that was early on, you know, towards the later part of 2014. One of the players, Pusha T, he actually, you know, passed away. I think he had some type of cardiac event while he was on stream. It was really unfortunate. I remember hearing about it, and I had just become a mod on our Kappa, so I just told myself, you know, maybe we should do something about this, kind of raise some money for the family. I wasn't sure how, you know, people were going to react to that. But the community really came through. You know, we raised close to $10,000. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you know, when we did that, it made like a lot of e-gaming news, and it even came out on GameSpot, and the community really came together. So it was really nice to actually see that, and with the help of Mike Watts, I was able to get the money over to the family. So it was a really cool thing to do. Probably most people didn't expect that from our Kappa, and you know, and so it was nice to kind of, you know, break down some biases and barriers.
Well, you know, it's funny because you mentioned that people might not expect that from our Kappa. If you go to our Kappa, I think it to a very real degree it represents like a microcosm of the FGC. You have the best, and maybe to a degree, depending on who you ask, the worst.
Yeah.
You mentioned that after you start sponsoring players and it gets a lot of traction, it starts to become popular, that other tournaments in parts of the world, around the world, were hitting you up. Can you send players to our place? But that on occasion, some of these connections would say, but let's leave out the RKappa connection. Is it fair to do that?
Yeah. And if someone had to ask me, you know, hey, Mike, what's our Kappa? You know, I would tell them, listen, it's a fighting game community within Reddit. But the difference with the community in our Kappa as compared to other fighting game forums is that our Kappa is very open to free speech. And sometimes when you're open to free speech like that, you know, you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad, you're going to get the ugly, sometimes the smelly. you know?
Yeah, there was some interesting...
you know, so
posts.
Yeah, you know, so that's the nature of the forum, that it's an open community, you know, I don't recall anyone ever being banned at all on our Kappa. If they were banned, it was because Reddit shadow banned them. So that wasn't anything to do with us. So it's an open community. You're welcome to come. Everyone who's watching this is welcome to come. And our Kappa is very honest about their opinions. They're very outspoken. They don't fear anybody. So they can give as good as they get. They've been very accepting of me. And if I have an idea that they don't really like, they let me know. They're not scared or anything like that. So what was your question?
Well, what I find interesting or unique about our Kappa is if the FGC as a whole is on the fringe of the bigger esports world.
Yeah.
It almost seems like our Kappa is the fringe of the FGC world to a degree. You'd mentioned to me, and I know this is potentially the elephant in the room, but you had mentioned to me that for instance, and I'll be happy to bring it up.
Yeah.
The slut shaming or bashing of Sherrygenics, for example.
Yeah.
You're free to say that there because it's an open forum and it's free speech. But you said your fear is that type of act could potentially cause our Kappa to be banned or shut down. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because the thing is, you don't want to take away. I mean, that's what our Kappa is, right? And you can't say, "Oh no, don't be this way anymore."
Yeah.
But there's the fear or the danger that it might cease to exist.
Yeah. And I think that's the nature of having a free speech. That sometimes in our Kappa, that free speech limit is really pushed, right? It's pushed to the edge. So you might have someone like Sherry or maybe Triforce or somebody else, our Kappa kind of really, pounds these guys. My fear is that, at one point, maybe we might reach a point where, hey, Reddit is going to shut this down. So, and I think that kind of talk, we've been talking about that for some time, because in Reddit, recently there was, Reddit shut down about 5 subreddits. And there was this fear that, we might lose, this community. So that's always in the back of my mind. And, I'm just, and like I said, it's, there's not much I can do about it. I can just, talk to other people about it. But that isn't an honest fear of mine. And then going back to your question about, with these tournament organizers, just to put it together, a lot of times, maybe a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of, tournament organizers from Japan, France, Germany, they reach out to us. Some of them publicly, some of them not. Because they want our Kappa to kind of be involved in their tournaments. We kind of give them a lot of publicity. But some tournament organizers, they know the nature of our Kappa is very controversial, so they're happy to help, but they rather, kind of be more in the background and still support it, but they understand that the nature of the way our Kappa is, that it might be a little bit controversial. So I've hit stumbling blocks sometimes with that, and I even try to approach like the really big companies that everybody knows in the FGC, and they kind of told me, hey, we appreciate what you're doing, whether we can go to the next level with you, you would have to change the content of our Kappa, and I kind of told them, I can't do that. It's an open community, and it's, if we were to do that, then our Kappa would cease to be our Kappa. So but on the positive side of it, we have had tournament organizers who've openly are happy to work with us, and Damascus from France, Z and Cameraman, all these guys from Japan, they were very open. So so you get a mixture of each, right? A little bit, there's this positive arm to it. There's kind of this less positive arm to it, if I could say it like that,
Well, I gravitate towards the positive, and I think it's been super cool in the year that you guys have been sponsoring players, and it's definitely a community effort. Although I know you're very modest and you're too humble to say this, but for those of you out there who don't know, Dr. Mike puts in a lot of money of his own, helps out the players, gives them a little spending cash, makes sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And I definitely want you to set up a video, a trailer about our Kappa and their year in sponsoring players that we're going to play here soon, because we're excited to debut it.
Well, oh yeah, well, I think we've had a really great year, and I'm really thankful for you giving our Kappa this chance to speak out about the sponsorships, and it's not about me, I'm just one person, but the people helping me, it's just a whole group of people, and I wanted to thank them so much for that, and I actually wrote down their names because I didn't want to miss anybody. If you can give me just like 10, 30 seconds to kind of shout them out.
Sure. You know what? I know that you don't do this all by yourself, so let's hear it.
Yeah, and then we can go into the video, and this is pretty much for them to give them thank you to everyone who supported us, and so first offhand, just like to thank everyone from our Kappa, all the stream monsters, everyone who's donated and purchased a shirt from Teespring or Teasley, ASD1392, Barrel Buster, Mackie, Kappa Pose, Big Dan Mo, Junichi, who helps me out contacting players on Twitter. He's been really great. Tension Mask, Rages, Healing Care, 2D Ninja, Drecker, EX, Gen Can, Original Gamer, 8, CVC Said, Kim1234, Ban for Content, Yellow Ken, T-Baggins, CTWTN. I know these names, but they're very known on our Kappa. Also, some other more well-known names are Arturo Sanchez, Mark Mann from Mad Cats. He's always treated me nice and always supportive of our Kappa. EG team manager AJ, Alex Jabali, Mike Watts, Damascus, Z, SG Fighterman, Cameraman, Zach, Briley, Shoryuken, bro. Also, I'm almost there, man. Give me
Keep it coming.
And I'm not sure to say names, so I'd rather just mention them, kind of like all the tournament organizers and the FGC from Germany, France, Switzerland, Canada, of course, America. Also Twitch and Capcom for kind of making this season really great to watch, and last but not least, of course, the Kappa players, whether we had them or not. At what point, Pepidai, Pungo, Infiltration, Ebi, Bugera, Kita Senju DJ, I'm like murdering his name. Nemo, Kazunoko, Alex Myers, Tampa Bison, Miss, your favorite, Koji Kaj, and Marvel Player Full Schedule. And of course, I just want to thank you and the Daily Dot, for having me on, and really
Absolutely.
appreciate. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. You guys are amazing. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even be talking right now. So this is just really great, and we made this little, video for you guys, kind of like a tribute to you guys, and
Absolutely. So this video is basically a showcase of your year's effort, right?
Yeah, basically much. Yeah, that's.
All right. Well, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. He beat the ball. Oh, this is not case of Dia. This could be one hit away. Can he do this? Can he get this? Let's move.
Oh my word.
He's gonna jump over. Aye, everyone's so happy. And that's the problem.
Moss-up is good. Money combo.
What? He does have that.
Hello.
Figured Hellfire.
Oh my gosh. And there you have it. Cosmico takes it.
Wow.
Cosmico takes it 6-0.
Mark, do it. What's that oil button? Casamocos is waiting for it. Meeting. Oh my days! Eddie in the building.
Oh my god.
Nice reaction. Watch out for that reset. Yeah. Here we need the reset. There's too much health on Hugo.
Oh my god.
Reset. It's done.
Oh, the shirt's off!
So there you have it. That I mean, you cannot deny the amount of good memories, hype moments that were produced from the efforts of the RCAP community. I mean, that's great. You mentioned at the end, self-congratulation, boys, right? And there was that one tweet once from Ultra David, and he basically said, This is I'm quoting his tweet here. I quit R Kappa. Just got too self-congratulatory and self-important in my opinion. Let me know if anyone starts a new, more chilled FGC Hangout subreddit. He's entitled to his own opinion, and that has been a criticism that has been leveled against R Kappa. Like they're just, I want to pat myself on the back and and that kind of thing. But again, the trailer, speaks volumes. How do you feel about what you guys have done together?
I mean, and I respect, his opinion, I respect a lot of opinions with people that I disagree with, but I think it's great, R Kappa, R Kappa used to be the type of place that, these guys are just a bunch of trolls, nothing good could ever come out of this place, like, it's just, it's nothing, they can't do anything positive, and, kind of doing all these sponsorships, I kind of it does feel kind of good to be able to bring this positivity and our Kappa's it's made a difference for a lot of people. It brings a lot of hype, and so they're people are welcome to the opinion and I respect that, but I think it's okay to sometimes self-congratulate yourself. It's you have to sometimes look in the mirror and say, I think I did pretty good today. You know what I mean? Like life is so difficult and so tough. So, if you can have some positive moments in life, and I work as a doctor, I see people every day, dying of cancer, getting into car accidents. I think I told you some stories.
Yeah, you should have.
So it's kind of nice to have some type of positive energy in your life. And I think that's what the FGC has brought to my life. And it brings a lot of hype, brings a lot of happiness. And I'm so happy, by the way, that top 32 of EVO is going to be streamed like every match. That's like a dream come true. So excited they're going to do that. So I think it's okay to sometimes self-congratulate yourself on the back. I think that's okay.
And the right's not over. You guys are sending some players to EVO. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned it already, but let's talk about the players you're sending.
And we can talk about the controversies too. We can talk about anything you want.
Well, I have a couple questions that I pulled from the R Kappa post.
No holds barred, whatever you want.
Actually, it wasn't all that bad. But basically, let's see here. It was the user was the GCS. I don't think it was EVO Special, but he was basically asking, why aren't you sending more American players? Why are you only sending Japanese players or Asian players? I will point out that you guys are sending Alex Myers to EVO.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair question. I think one of your colleagues mentioned it as well. And I think one thing really changed when we started the sponsorships for this year. And what really changed was the $500,000 Capcom prize pool. That really changed the sponsorship games, because we were talking as a forum, these tournaments are not going to be your typical tournaments. All the killers are going to come out, all the top players. So we were thinking, we need to send somebody that can compete with these guys, somebody that can make it to top 8s. And our goal, I don't know if people know this, our goal is to actually send players in our Kappa's name to the Capcom Cup finals. That's basically has always been our goal. We don't always get there because it's been really, really tough. So part of the thinking was that, if we're gonna send players to these premier events, and we've for the most part we've been targeting premier events. We figured, we got to get some really top players to come over here, That's when, so we brought on Infiltration. He's, EVO champion. I think 2 times EVO champion. He's considered one of the top 10 best players. We had at one point Kazunoko. We even had Nemo and Miss. So if people are wondering, why it's been like that, and this has all been a community vote. It hasn't been me. Actually, the players that I wanted to bring kind of never made it, except Kazunoko. I wanted Fenrir, Fentamo. He's another Yun player because I love you, and people hate him, but I just love that rush down. So this is all community voting, and people watching this, they can come to our kappa and they can nominate who they wanted. I know we're sending, and this goes on to your next question. So we're sending 4 players. Koji Koch, which is one of your
You better believe it. I can't wait. Thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, we're sending Pungo again for the 4th time. This is all community voting. It's not me. We're also sending Alex Myers, who was voted in as well. And also, I just added officially Pepidai. He'll be playing as Mad Catz, our kappa, which is pretty cool, right? Because no one would ever think to see that. But for the most part, Markman has been very gracious, and he's been supportive of me and our kappa. So it's not much of a surprise. But so those will be the 4 players that we're sending. I think probably Alex Myers is probably a little bit controversial now because why'd you send him? And the reason we sent him because it was a community vote, and we take our polls very seriously. We have a security set up. I can't go into that. It's FBI stuff, I have one of the moderators, Kappa Post. He works with me very closely, and we have security set up for that. And so we take these nominations and voting very seriously. And one of the names that came up for EVO was Alex Myers, so that's why basically the main reason that we're sending him. I think the reason he's also going too is because it's almost sentimental too, because he was the original our kappa members that went to EVO in 2014. So for some people it was kind of, kind of an anniversary of our kappa. For some people, they wanted to send an American player. So I'm really happy with the team. I'm happy with the pool selections. It's been pretty cool. Don't tell anybody that. So I'm excited. I just can't wait to sit there and watch it. I can't go this year, so I'm just stuck home watching it like everybody else.
You were telling me, people always like to say the struggle is real when you you'll see a fight stick that's made out of a shoebox. Struggle is real, right? Let me tell you about another struggle. It's being a married man. And trying to find time to watch streams. And I asked you, not only that, because you're a stream monster, but also, spending money on something that's not for your immediate family. How does that conversation go over at the Dr. Mike household?
My wife is always looking at the receipts and kind of, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, every time I tell my wife, hey, do you want to go to France? She's like, are we going on vacation or a tournament? And I'm like, maybe both. You know what I mean? So she's very supportive. I have 2 kids, so it's very tough. I have a 9-month-old, a 4-year-old, so it's really hard managing all this. It gets very tough. A lot of it is through texting, a lot of it is through phone calls. It's just very hard. I'm trying my best, because I work at the same time too. So in between, before I get in the car to go to work, I might text you or text somebody else. Hey, what's going on with this? Is everything okay? So it's been tough, but I also have a lot of support, and a lot of the guys on our kappa that help me set up websites. That help me with the graphics, with the T-shirts. So it's also a team sport as well. It's not just one person that's kind of doing all this.
Hey, speaking of the shirts, which have been wildly popular and successful, and they always come out so cool. One of the other questions was, where is my naked Punko shirt? People are upset. They want their shirt.
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. Some of the shirts, sometimes they get taken down. There's copyright claims, so I have to, I have to email network with Teespring to kind of show them that, hey, I got this design. It's not copyrighted. So that's part of it. Some of the shirts will. Some of the shirts will be taken off and on, but I'm working my best to get that back on. And that naked Puma shirt that he's talking about, that was actually in Stunfest. shout out to Damascus for inviting us there with the tournament organizer, where he actually won at the end, and he kind of just took off his shirt and he kind of went like this, and somebody snapped a picture at the right time, and it came on Kappa, and somebody dared me. I dare you to put this on a T-shirt, and I ended up putting on a T-shirt, and it's kind of fun. We even lowered the price on that one. Well, I didn't think anybody would buy it, but it's pretty popular.
All right, man. Well, since we have you and we're talking EVO, and we've been having EVO conversations here, it hasn't been confirmed, but we all suspect that there's the potential that this will be the last year for Ultra Street Fighter 4. Who do you think will be the last? If, in fact, this is the last year we have Street Fighter 4 at EVO, who will be the last Street Fighter 4 champion?
Who do you think? Who do you think? So who I think will win EVO, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I thought along about this, and I think Zien, because my sources, secret stuff, my sources tell me that Zien is just preparing like secret guns, and he's not scared to counterpick, and he just has no fear. If you were to tell me Daigo, I think Daigo's a great player. I follow this guy all the time. The problem that I think Daigo won't win EVO is because he doesn't counterpick that much. I think he's got a lot of pride, and he's very confident in his EVO ride. So I don't see him counterpicking much. If Daigo counterpick like Infiltration and Zien, then we've all be in big trouble, because Daigo, from what I'm been told, he's well versed in all the characters. So I would think Zien, or maybe it's just gonna sound weird, maybe Fudo, because Fudo just he always makes it like really, really far. He doesn't crack under the pressure. If I had to throw an American player there, I would think maybe PR Rog, because he's got experience. He's been there a lot of times. He's not scared of counterpicking, and maybe Snake Eyes or Dominion, because they kind of get far in these big long tournaments, with 1,000 players. So, and I think you brought it up before. We at Kappa, we actually set up a website so anybody can come on. You can pick who you think's gonna be top 8. It's kappabets.com. So you can, and there's prizes, free T-shirts. There's Amazon gift certificates. So it's pretty fun, and we have 700 people that have signed on. So it's just a pretty cool thing. So if you want to, send anyone watching want to take a guess who's going to win, they're welcome to go to the website and just bet on who they'll win.
For me, it's exciting to see like the things that come out outside, because the main draw is the tournament. Players are going to go. It's going to be streamed, and we're all going to enjoy ourselves watching it. But then you start to get these things on the outside, the communities that grow around it, the Kappa bets. I feel like it's indicative of where we're headed, right? Where the communities will continue to grow, and there'll be a lot of these extra products, if you will, on the side. Do you guys agree with Dr. Mike's predictions for EVO?
Yeah, they're pretty solid. I mean, everyone knows that Qian's a big prep guy.
Are you saying that they're safe choices? That this guy doesn't want to go out on the limb?
I would say they're relatively safe, but it's a game where safeness has kind of come out. No one who won EVO is a total shocker, really. I mean, good players are good players. I think the name that's not coming out in the same vein as Fudo is Tokido. Mm-hmm. Tokido's been getting top 3 at pretty much every tournament he's entered, and he's always been failing just at the right second. And so maybe this will be his moment.
What do you think, Ray? I mean,
he's got secret sources saying Shin's got some guns. I 100% believe you can't just go missing from all these tournaments and not be preparing something. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. I know he's hungry for another win. So
yeah, and Singapore has that underground training scene. They've got a really good group of guys.
I mean, where did these Razer sponsorships come from for RGB and all of them too? It's just what are they hiding?
Exactly. And Dr. Mike, or did you have something to say? I'm sorry.
And I think one other person that maybe people don't know about, Razer recently sponsored RB. He plays Hugo and a couple other characters. I think he's gonna also make it, kind of far. So go ahead.
No, well, that's something that we were talking about a couple of episodes ago. Was that Hugo is a really solid counter pick for some matches.
Yeah.
And also fun to watch, right?
Yeah, pretty fun. Yeah. I think Alex Valle beat Daigo with with Hugo a while back. I forgot one of the tournaments. It's pretty fun, and so I think Razor RB is kind of somebody to watch out for as well. And then my sources also tell me about Zian. Like he takes every tournament serious, but he doesn't put his whole heart into it. Like I think he's kind of been saving himself up for kind of Capcom Cup and EVO. I'm not trying to like instigate anything, but he's gonna bring the pain.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna bring out the secret weapons, and I'm really excited to watch that. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously this show is centered around EVO, but one of the questions, or one of the things that you and I talked about is that you're considering slowing down or ramping down the sponsoring of players because maybe it's losing a little bit of its luster. Tell me about that process, because I suspect people, when they hear that, might be upset. They'll be like, oh, wait, this is something that I need to stay on top of, and I had kind of let slip.
Yeah, I mean, the sponsorship have been really great, and people really support us, and they buy all these T-shirts, and they donate a lot of money, and I kind of felt, and we spoke about this with the other mods and a lot of people in our Kappa. Well, I think we didn't want to take advantage of doing too many sponsorships. People having to take out of their pockets to give us the fund. So, and we also, but the most important thing, we didn't want it to lose its magic. Because if you kind of do it a lot, it kind of it kind of dies down a little bit. It kind of loses its luster. So maybe after EVO, we're thinking, maybe we might take a break from the sponsorships and, kind of let everything settle down. I think EVO's a nice way to take a nice pause, unless we get an offer from a tournament organizer, they kind of make it attractive to us, or we get really big support. I think it's better just to kind of, to go out, on a high note, and I think EVO's it's the perfect time, and we're sending 4 players, so I think it's a good time to maybe take a break from that.
Well, I suspect that if you put it up for a vote, you probably get some solid answers on that.
And part of it we kind of voted. We had initially voted to either do CO or EVO, and everybody had voted, hey, let's just do CO. So we weren't even gonna do EVO, but I got a lot of messages and texts. Hey, Dr. Mike, come on, let's do EVO. You gotta do it. So I said, you know what? Okay, fine. If you guys really want to, let's try to do EVO. And to my surprise, it got like a lot of support, and there's a lot of people behind it. So, but I'm really thinking that this might, maybe be the last one for now. For now.
Well, Dr. Mike, I appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us about our Kappa and all these cool things that they've been able to accomplish. Thank you for debuting the trailer here on this show. I know you're going to be putting that out on your own channel. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up the interview?
No, I just want to thank you for bringing me onto this show and for giving our Kappa this opportunity. I'm kind of I'm usually in the background. I kind of a ghost in the back. But when you sent me the message to come on, I really wanted to take that chance to thank everybody, and it's not about me, but about the amazing people that work with me in our Kappa, that do the designs, they do the websites, all the moderator team. People are, but these guys don't moderate anything. But they work on the website. They always help me out. They support me, and they give me a lot of like support, and hey, don't worry about it. I was really nervous about coming on your show, and they were like, hey, don't worry about it. You're gonna do great. Don't worry about it. It's esports. So I'm just really thankful for you to give me this time, and I hope to see you guys. I'll be going to Capcom Cup in December. So if you see me, just say hi. And I think one thing you forgot to mention for EVO, the salty sweets.
Oh yeah, man, that's gonna be pretty exciting.
That's gonna be really great. You're gonna have the Red Bull salty sweets, then you have the Twitch party salty sweet. So it's in a club, and I guess they'll be streaming matches. That'll be really cool to watch. So so
Dr. Mike, when you're watching these streams, please remember to get up every once in a while, drink some water, walk around, get the blood flowing, because I know you're going to be glued to that screen, man.
I'm gonna be I'm just so excited, and all top 32 all streams, so that's amazing, and just I'm really excited for it, and I hope you guys really have a great time with it, and I'll catch you guys, in Capcom Cup if I see you in December, and feel free to come up to me and say hi. I'm happy to talk with you, and can't wait to meet you guys. So thanks so much again for doing this. Thanks so much. Yeah.
So we've been talking to FGC Dr. Mike. He's a mod on our Kappa. It doesn't look like the mods do a lot, but they do. And again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks so much.
So, I mean, to me, what's exciting is you have so we had EGPL Barwog on the show last week. And, sponsored player, kind of like the corporate side of it. It's a business at the end of the day. And here you have the community saying, this is who we want to send. This is why we want to send them. And we're coming together. And it's like the both ends of the spectrum on people getting paid to play something that we all at the end get to enjoy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I'm not a Redditor or anything like that, but when you hear about our Kappa, it's obviously not the best of it. But the people behind the keyboards are humans. And when you have a guy like that great, that in love with the game, I love that he loves it so much. Mm-hmm. And when you have a guy like that, he can bring these people, from behind the keyboard warriors into people who are bringing players from across the world into these tournaments. They're making it better for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty excited about it, and I can't wait to see. I mean, I feel secretly very excited that KOG is going to be there, sponsored by our Kappa. So, I mean, I'm set. I'm going to be, this is my first EVO, so I won't be stream monitoring, but I'm very excited to see how that rolls out. And hopefully we can get some interviews with those players and share them with our audience.
Oh, man, I got to pick me up a naked Punko shirt.
The only other thing I might like to announce is just EVO is a little bigger this year than just the tournament. You've got, in the anime side of things, you have Arc Revolution, which is ArcSys, the company that makes a lot of those anime games I mentioned last week. They are hosting a 3v3 America-only tournament for both BlazBlue and Guilty Gear. What this means is that it'll be 3 people, and all the teams are American. You have to have your passport. The winner of this 3v3 Invitational is going to get a trip sponsored to Japan for the Arc Systems Cup, which is kind of like the new anime SBO. Wow. Even though those aren't in the main thing, there's big money and big sponsorships on the line for side tournaments.
For anybody who hasn't heard of SBO, it's the Super Battle Opera or Space Battle Opera.
Yeah, Super Battle Opera, it's Togeki,
yeah,
various names. That was like the tournament. That was the tournament before EVO, honestly, and it was in Japan. Not for money, just for pride. Single elimination, one game, old Japanese style. So people were really sad when that died out, I think 2 years ago or last year, but this is kind of a bringing back of it for anime. So.
Yeah. And
I'm entering BlazBlue. This is my hopefully my year.
You bringing your passport?
Yes, bring my passport.
That's cool, man. It seems like more games are starting to do that. Just really, you mentioned that Team Ninja has offered pop bonuses before, but it's like everybody's getting with it. It's like we need to support our games if we want them to live. It doesn't always work, but it's nice to see a little bit of that shift in mentality.
Yeah, I mean, people like seeing their game or any game on the big screen, and it's often enough of a reason for them to buy it, or at least for them to follow it more and then get ad revenue for the rest of the players. So, and for the company itself. So yeah, I mean, whether or not it's a good business model, we'll see, but they seem to be liking doing it so far.
Now, this wouldn't be a loadout show without talking about the newest bit of Street Fighter V knowledge that we learned here. No frames harder than, or no combos or links harder than 3 frames. I'm going to let you, Mike. Mike, you're the one that wanted to talk about this. Oh, you're going to let me
talk about this? Okay.
You said you could talk for 2 hours about this.
Oh, easily. I think this is an amazing thing. So when people hear, no links harder than 3 frames, what this means is there's probably going to be a buffer window in the game. Mm-hmm. So when you press a button, it basically automatically presses itself 3 more times for the next 3 frames, meaning that it's kind of like automatically plinking for you, something along those lines.
Okay.
What this means is that 1 frame links are going to be very consistently doable without modding your stick. It means that punishes won't need to be so researched and practiced in training mode. And it means that I think people can spend more time on the game rather than in training mode.
And, you had mentioned, so people, and this is the classic argument, it's like, oh, well, ST was, really, you had to be, right, like just a lot more difficult to play. And Street Fighter 4, they would say, is the game it has training wheels on it and all that. This game is even more training wheelsy. But I liked what you had said, which was basically, if you lose to somebody, you can't blame it on the execution. Why don't you unpack that for me? Because I think I'm butchering it.
Well, when games come down to execution, a lot of the time, when games come down to dropped combos, people tend to blame it on that, and people will tend to wish that the combos were easier. And so, what I think is that the easier game itself is going to allow more people to get into it. It's going to allow games to come down to not landing your combos, to come down to the reads. And I think that if you lose to a guy who's been playing for a month when you've been playing it for a year, then you should look at your gameplay rather than how much time you spent practicing.
Speaking of not needing combos and just having great reads, we're going to go on to a segment that we haven't featured on this show before, and this is Race Picks. Ray always, every week, sends me videos. He's like, can I talk about this video? Can I talk about this video? And for one reason or another, I'm like, no. In short, no, Ray, you cannot play that video.
So sad.
I'm going to play a clip that you sent me, and this is actually you playing. I think this is an online replay. Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to use this video because it's a little bit shaky, but we're going to go for it. Let me see here. And again, we're talking about...
This is the kind of stuff that would make our kappa proud.
This is it's going out to you, our kappa. Do I need to fast forward a little bit here towards the exciting bit?
No, we can sit here.
So tell us what's going on here. You use Balrog. Which one are you? You're
Okay,
Soul
I
Style?
am the American pride and spirit.
Is this Super?
Yes, this is 2012, I think.
2012.
Yeah. Is it? I don't even know. But so we have a Balrog mirror. Usually, you just want to sit corner to corner, far away. Like, I don't feel like moving forward. Because you move forward, you can't charge. So if you look on my side of the screen of the inputs, I don't really press that many buttons. And...
You're just turtling, right, Ray?
Yeah, I'm just turtling. Like, I don't want to press anything. Like, Balrog might randomly dash punch and hit me. I got some bar. Might as well, every once in a while go for that random thing. So it's a little bit sloppy here, but, I'm wearing my American flag cape. Like, I feel good about myself. Like, yeah. So this Balrog is he's just going ham. I mean, he's got me, like, in the corner. I'm scared. I can't move. So what do? I EX headbutt. And sadly, this guy right here, he doesn't know how to fight against Balrog because you're supposed to do punches at the end. And what just happens? I press every single button in the world, and he's just dead.
I'm going to go back to that part.
I love how it ended with him dropping that ultra combo.
Yeah, because it was so funny because in the YouTube comments, big shout out to Enigmatic. He's a big Balrog scientist. He's like, that Balrog guy didn't do the right ultra finish for Balrog. Like, how do you not even know your own character? Because, it's a combination of kicks and punches, and you're just supposed to do kick, punch, kick, but he just does kick, 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 and that's why the last one, like, kind of just whiffs.
Okay, well,
how many matches did it take you to land that? Like, how many matches did you charge?
Okay, so funny thing is, this was after class. I go home, like, for me, freshman year, I was like, all right, gonna go to class. Class is easy. Gonna play some Street Fighter and grind it out. So then I was like, why don't I try something different and hold down 3 buttons with my palm like this, and then play with the rest like that. And if I need to switch, I can play with my palm and my pinky.
Well, I re-edited the clip here, so we're just seeing the sweet spot. If you don't know, I think I remember playing in the Super Nintendo and doing that to my bros, holding down the button a really long time to get that turnaround punch, but I did not know that it actually did this much damage.
I did not know
were you
either.
Holding it?
I was holding it for 73 seconds. As soon as the match starts, you see me press all 3 buttons, and then from there on, I cannot grab, I cannot focus. I'm literally handicapped. I'm just sitting here, like, just looking at the screen, like, okay, when do I let go? When do I let go? And funny thing is that after that, I got a message just randomly from a friend that was like, Ray, you're on SRK front page. I'm like, huh? I'm like, why? Like, someone posted a video of you. Like, it's like this troll Balrog. I think it's you. I'm like, what? Like, no way. And then so I go on, and like the original video has like over 200,000 views the first day, and this guy is just like, this guy is such a troll. I can't believe what just hit me. He's glitching. He's hacking.
I want to rant about SRK front page for a bit. That used to be like the source of news. That used to be like they'd send like 1 or 2 clips a day, and they were always well written out. Like shout outs to Keats, and that website has become like
Dead.
30 posts a day on the front page, like just like CPM clicks per minute or whatever. And yeah, I don't even really know where to get my news anymore, frankly, because of how
See, this is the
flooded it's
thing,
gotten.
and I'm not just trying to jock the nuts of R Kappa, but that's what I like about R Kappa. I don't go, it's either Twitter or straight to R Kappa if I want to know what's going on with the Ken reveals, what's going on, like what are the conversations, what are the blow-ups. That's the part that I love about that subreddit, and I continue to go to that for that very reason. But you should check it out if you don't know where to go to get your daily dose of goodness. That's where you go. Guys, we're going to wrap up our EVO show. Thank you very much for being on the show. We want to thank Panda as well as Dr. Mike for being on. Some sad news, not terribly sad, but Ray, our loyal co-host here, is going to Korea for a month, so we're not going to see him for a while. That's why I let you show that damn clip. I figured you got to get it out of your system, man.
Yeah.
But if you like the show, make sure to follow. We do this every week. We will be at EVO, and we bring you a ton of content from there, so be sure to check us out at thedailydot.com. Thank you, guys.